Most people are not exhausted because they are lazy. They are exhausted because modern life requires thousands of tiny decisions every single week. Too many tabs, too many messages, too many unfinished tasks, too many systems fighting for attention. And eventually, the mind becomes fragmented by its own environment. This is the hidden crisis of the digital age. Infinite capability, almost no structure. For years, people believed technology would create freedom. Instead, many became overwhelmed by complexity. More apps, more tools, more platforms, more content, more notifications, more things to manage, and somehow, less mental clarity. Maybe you have already felt this. Saving ideas everywhere, but finding nothing later. Opening your laptop to work, then spending 20 minutes switching between tabs, trying to focus deeply, while messages, notifications, and unfinished tasks keep pulling at the edges of your attention. The modern world gave people infinite tools, without teaching them architecture. That is why intelligent people burn out. Not because they are weak, but because scattered systems quietly leak attention, energy, and direction every single day. This is where silicon sovereignty begins. Not with domination, not with replacing humanity, not with becoming dependent on machines, but with one simple realization. Technology should reduce unnecessary friction, not multiply it. The old world was built around human exhaustion. Hours traded for income, attention traded for survival, energy spent repeating the same tasks until repetition became identity. Most people are trapped inside systems that require their constant presence. If they stop working, progress stops. If they stop responding, momentum disappears. If they stop pushing manually, everything begins collapsing into chaos again. That is not freedom. That is dependency disguised as productivity. The next era belongs to a different kind of builder, not the person who works the longest, not the person who reacts the fastest, but the person who learns how to build systems that continue operating after the first effort is complete. This is the first principle of silicon sovereignty. Do not use AI only to complete tasks faster. Use it to reduce unnecessary cognitive weight. A shortcut saves minutes. Infrastructure compounds for years. That is the difference. Most people use AI reactively. The architect uses AI structurally. A single prompt is useful. A repeatable workflow is leverage. A system that organizes, filters, structures, and compounds information becomes infrastructure. This is where the modern world begins separating into two groups: people drowning in tools and people designing systems. The distracted collect apps endlessly. The architect builds an ecosystem. One system for capturing ideas. One system for organizing knowledge. One system for creating content. One system for automating repetitive work. One system for preserving attention. And slowly, the environment becomes calmer, cleaner, more intentional. Because clarity is scalable. Chaos is not. Most people do not realize how much energy is lost to friction. Searching for files, repeating the same decisions, rewriting the same processes, answering the same questions, switching attention endlessly between disconnected systems. Tiny leaks become enormous exhaustion over time. This is why intelligent systems matter. Not because they remove effort, but because they remove unnecessary effort. And if you have ever experienced even one day where everything felt clean, organized, and intentional, you already know how powerful that can feel. This is the second principle of silicon sovereignty. Automation should protect attention, not replace thinking. Artificial intelligence can generate, summarize, organize, automate, search, filter, scale. But it cannot replace wisdom. The machine amplifies the operator. If your thinking is scattered, AI will multiply confusion. If your direction is unclear, automation will accelerate noise. If your systems are chaotic, technology only creates faster chaos. This is where many people fail. They automate disorder, then wonder why life still feels fragmented. The architect begins somewhere different. Clarity first. What matters? What should be repeated? What should be removed? What should remain deeply human? These questions matter more than any tool. Because true sovereignty is not giving everything to machines. True sovereignty is knowing exactly what machines should never control. Your judgment, your ethics, your taste, your values, your long-term direction. AI should extend your mind, not replace your center. That distinction changes everything. Most people chase tools emotionally. The architect designs workflows intentionally. More tools do not create freedom. Better architecture does. A powerful workflow feels strangely calm. Not louder, not more frantic, lighter, more focused, more precise. The chaos disappears the moment structure becomes clear. This is where silicon sovereignty becomes psychological, not merely technological. A calm operating system for the modern mind. Because attention leaks destroy intelligent people. Too many decisions, too many interruptions, too many open loops pulling at the nervous system constantly. The architect sees this clearly. So the architect removes unnecessary friction aggressively. One place to capture ideas, one process for research, one structure for deep work, one system for review, one trusted workflow instead of endless improvisation. And slowly, the mind becomes cleaner, the work becomes deeper, the day becomes lighter. This is the real purpose of automation, not producing more meaningless output, creating more space for meaningful thought. This is the third principle of silicon sovereignty. Protect your highest cognition from repetitive noise. The future will not reward people who are merely busy. It will reward people who can combine human judgment with machine leverage intelligently. Human taste, machine speed, human direction, machine repetition, human ethics, machine scale. When these become aligned, one focused person can create output once requiring entire teams. But when they become misaligned, the result is simply faster distraction. That is why discipline matters more than hype. Most people are overwhelmed by technology because they never built structure around it. The architect uses technology carefully, deliberately, strategically. Not every task should be automated. Not every process should become optimization. Not every moment should become efficiency. Some things must remain human. Conversation, reflection, taste, meaning, stillness, presence, judgment. Because a life optimized perfectly for speed can still become emotionally empty. This is where silicon sovereignty matures, not into machine worship, into intelligent balance. The machine handles repetition. The architect handles meaning. The machine handles scale. The architect handles direction. The machine handles speed. The architect handles wisdom. This is what an autonomous empire actually means. Not control over other people, control over your own operating system. A life where your ideas do not disappear. A workflow where chaos no longer dominates attention. A business where value does not depend entirely on panic and constant urgency. A body of work that continues moving even when you are not manually pushing every detail. That is leverage, not domination. Design. The old world rewarded exhaustion. The next world will reward intelligent architecture. This is the fourth principle of silicon sovereignty. Build systems that compound instead of systems that consume you. Some systems drain energy endlessly, others multiply it. A bad system creates more tasks every week. A strong system reduces unnecessary decisions over time. A bad system creates stress. A strong system creates momentum. A bad system makes you feel busy. A strong system makes you effective. This distinction will define the next generation of creators, entrepreneurs, and builders. The distracted will use AI to create more noise. The architect will use AI to create more structure. The distracted will automate without thinking. The architect will design intentionally. And over time, the difference becomes impossible to ignore. One person becomes increasingly fragmented by technology. The other becomes increasingly amplified by it. This is the final truth of silicon sovereignty. The future does not belong to people who simply use artificial intelligence. It belongs to people who know what to build with it. Because tools are everywhere. Automation is everywhere. Content is everywhere. But judgment is rare. Taste is rare. Direction is rare. The machine can move fast, but only the human being can decide what is truly worth moving toward. And maybe that is the real challenge of the AI age. Not learning how to generate endlessly, but learning how to remain intentional while surrounded by infinite capability. So build the workflow carefully. Refine the system. Protect your attention. Automate the friction. Keep your judgment sharp. Let the machine handle repetition. Let your mind handle meaning. Because the autonomous empire is not built when technology replaces you. It is built when technology finally begins serving the highest structure of your intent. And once you understand that, you begin realizing something even deeper. The people who thrive in the age of AI may not be the fastest. They may simply be the ones who learned how to stay clear while everyone else became overwhelmed.